Alright, let's just do this. I need money. I'm not asking you for money right now. I'm thinking about how to ask for money, and I'm thinking about different ways that you can think about money and different ways that you can conceive of the concept of money. And I wanted to share. I'm having fun. So let's start with the first metaphor. Money is property. This one's borderline not metaphorical, but money is a form of imaginary property, and people give you money in exchange for property. So if you want to have more money, you have to have property that somebody wants more than the money they have. What about money as agency? Money is a thing you can use to exercise freedom in the world, to do what you want, and the way that you get it is by doing what other people want for their money, because they're exercising your agency. But we're being boring. What about money as a river? If money is a river, then money flows downhill. What does downhill mean in this case? It's the easiest place for it to go. It's the place that is not harder for it to get in any other particular direction. It also flows towards soft earth, and it erodes, it changes you. The way that it moves through you shapes you. You can make yourself easy for money to move through by being malleable and easy to push. But even the hardest stone, if enough money flows over it for long enough, it will be changed. Now, how about if the money's not moving? What if the money's the landscape? If money's a landscape and we move across it, the way that you get money is by changing. And the easiest way to change is to roll downhill, but this version of the story suggests that you don't need to make money in order to make a change in your life. Making the change will make the money happen. Or it won't. Maybe you can't scale that cliff. Money is a vehicle. That old beat-up junk box breaks down. Can't trust it on a long journey. Might kill you someday. Go too fast with it, trust it for too long. You have to put more work into maintaining your source. You have to put more effort in, more fuel in. It burns through your resources faster. In this metaphor, money starts to become equivalent with the way you get your money. A more stable income for a lower effort job is like a nicer car. Oh, this one's popular. Money's a virtue. If money is virtue, if having money is the sign that you are or have been virtuous, if money flows toward the virtuous, then if you want to get more money, you need to surround yourself with people less virtuous than you. Because if the people around you are better than you, then it's your money that'll be flowing to them. If everybody around you sucks, then it's their money that'll be flowing to you. I think this one only works tautologically. It doesn't work if you also think anything else counts as virtue. But quite similar to money as virtue, money is trophies. It's the high score. What money as a trophy means is that the people with the most money are the people who are the best at the game. And I want you to understand something very important about games. A game is not the same thing as the component activities of a game. If a game involves throwing a ball in a hoop, that doesn't mean the person who is the best at throwing a ball in a hoop gets all the trophies. Skill and talent and aptitude relative to the requirements of the game are relevant, but after a certain qualifying threshold, for the most part, the people who do the best in the game are the people who are best at squeezing the largest amount of advantage into the confines of the rules as they are enforced. Let's do one more. Money is a fairy tale. If money is a fairy tale, then people give you money because they want you to understand something, because it's important to them that you hear what they're trying to tell you, because there's something that matters to them enough to take the time to say it. And you get more money by listening to people and a lot less by assuming that you know what they're going to say. This all started because I was thinking about financial fatalism, the belief that making money inevitably entails putting something into the world that makes the world worse. That is an approximation I find easy to believe, and it is an approximation that covers a lot of cases. But just relying on that approximation lets me off the hook for figuring out a way to survive, and a way to thrive, and a way to make it through the next 2 to 4 years. Months. I don't get paid in the summer. So this is the part where I ask you for money. I've burnt out repeatedly as a content creator. It's the fairy tale one is the one that works for me. It's the one that makes sense. It's the one that I can handle, but it's still very hard to open yourself up to listening to thousands of people, to let hundreds or thousands of people tell you what they need you to be thinking about, and to make them feel heard. I don't have the thickest skin in the world, but I also don't think that a thick skin is really the professional virtue that a lot of content creators and media producers and artists make it out to be. I don't understand how you can do this job if you're not listening. No, I do. I just think it's disgusting. Finding and exploiting a group of people so desperate to be heard that they'll start thinking the things you say so that they feel like someone's saying the things they think. I think that sharing power, sharing voice is of terminal value. I think that it's important in itself. I think that we need to give each other the opportunity to feel heard, and I don't always want to do the work. I'm only intermittently good at it. But I'm in grad school getting a PhD now, and my plan, insofar as I plan, which is not a thing I do terribly well, is to spend the rest of my life fighting to make the Academy a place that listens to more people, a place where people feel heard. It's already very good at that within confines. And people who are critical of the Academy are absolutely right to be critical, but what we need is to give more people the good things it has to offer, not to destroy those things because they're currently restricted. And there are a lot of people in the Contemporary Academy fighting for that. And there are a lot of people in the Contemporary Academy who want to be fighting for that, and I think they just don't understand how, because making people feel heard is not easy. It's work. It's self-sacrificing sometimes, and it's embarrassing and uncomfortable and hard. And I've got so much on my plate. I need to let some things slip. What's a core value here or there? So if you have a pocket full of fairy tales, consider telling me your story. I'll do my best to use it well to make your voices heard. And if you haven't got your fairy tales on paper like that, you can tell me the old-fashioned way. There's still a comment section. Or put this one in your pocket. Give it to your friends. I love to see my stories told. Wow, real bad echo in the featureless void today. I'm using a different microphone in hopes that it helps a little bit. It might make things worse, who knows, but time for the Patreon shout-out section, I guess. I'm not doing a shout-out because I'm going to go get the list of names after I finish recording this, but I do want to do a little bit of the voiceover stuff. I'm not padding the video for time, you're padding the video for time. I recently revised my reward structure on Patreon just to rename all of the levels as the number of supporters you count as. This is based on the hypothesis that over the course of my time in grad school, I can get 5,000 people backing me at $5 a month. I think that's a big but achievable goal, and if I can get there, that'll be my research funding for the rest of my career, and I won't need to worry about grants. I would love to not have to worry about grants. I would love to be relying on y'all to fund my work and to make the calls about like what I should be doing with my academic time and effort. It would also mean I'm significantly less beholden to an institution, so if I'm like not getting tenure, which super might happen because there are not a ton of tenure track jobs, and I don't know whether I'm going to be able to convince anybody to hire me. Hell, I got waitlisted twice at the University of Redacted. I suspect there's an administrator somewhere who just like said, you can't have that one on your first go around. You have to at least give us a chance to not admit them. It's been a long time since I've updated anybody on YouTube what's going on in my life in particular. Hi, I'm TX Watson. I'm a professional TikToker, was a professional TikToker. Now I'm a grad student. I'm a PhD student at the University of Redacted, studying communication with a concentration in rhetoric. I'm developing a theoretical framework called Glamour Theory, and I should really be working on the paper I'm writing about that and severance that I need to submit to NCA by Monday. Rather than make a brand new video from scratch out of a bunch of random thoughts I jotted down on a piece of paper during my race in media class. During the break. I was doing it during the break. I was not noodling on my notebook during other people's presentations. I was maybe a little bit noodling during people's presentations, but I was trying really hard to pay attention. I needed the thoughts out of my head, and the paper was the only place to put them. Anyway, last time I made a video that was for YouTube, I was living in a featureless void somewhere west of Boston. After that, I spent a year in a featureless void outside of Atlanta, and now I live in a featureless void right outside Washington, D.C. I'm just over halfway through my second semester, and summer's coming up pretty soon, and we don't get paid in the summer, and I don't make enough money on my Patreon to cover rent. Normally, I make up the difference for shit like that live streaming on TikTok, but the ban on TikTok goes into effect again, maybe in 11 days. Who the fuck knows what's going to happen, because the laws don't do anything anymore. God, there's so much I want to catch you guys up on about my life right now. I went on a date with a clown at an art museum yesterday. That's not important for you to know, but I want to say that sentence as many times as possible while it's still recently relevant. Really hoping they text me back about making plans for another time, but even if I never hear from them again, that's one of the at least top 30 days of my life. Doing some quick mental math. Yeah, I think top 30. What do you guys think? Should I just make the outro as a podcast, go on for like a full another 2 hours after I've run out of patrons to scroll? I'm probably starting a podcast soon with noted folk singer and volunteer archaeologist Astrid Lundberg, talking to various scholars about just the vibes in their field of study. I think that's an important thing to get out into the world, is like ways to figure out just like the energy of a field in like with methods other than going to grad school in that field. I think that's one of the big sort of like cultural barriers of academia, is that there's that just very sharp, steep ramp to get to a certain level of acclimation into the culture and the space. And having, a podcast where people do like, low-key tea about their discipline, shit talk other disciplines, talk about the scholars who are doing things that people are raising an eyebrow about. My goal is that it be as messy as possible while still being like a good idea for the scholars involved professionally. Not because I love mess, not just because I love mess, but because that's the thing, that's what the vibe is. That's the stuff that people ought to know if they want to get an understanding of what it would be like to work in a field. And that's the kind of stuff you need to know kind of in order to read the papers. Like, you can't just read one paper and understand what's going on in the field. You really need a vibe check, and some of that vibe check is messy. I've been recording this for 15 minutes, and I know there are other things that I wanted to bring up, but I've forgotten what they are, and now I'm just trying to think of new things. I've definitely got way more material here than the amount of time it's going to take to read through all my patrons. So, catch you next time. Bye.